Morning Facebook, Jackie Broman here from TBA Law, coming to you live like I do most Mondays with a short snippet of legal information. Hope all the mothers out there had a great Mother's Day yesterday. Today I wanted to talk about estate planning for small businesses. So the last couple of weeks I've talked about estate planning for blended families, estate planning for farming families, so you can go back and have a look at those videos if they're relevant, and today estate planning for small business owners. So a small business owner has, again, their own unique set of circumstances, and it also depends very much on what sort of business they have as well. Because if you think about farming families, they're also a family of small business owners. But the assets and the business of a farming business are very different from most other small businesses. So where I said that a farming family has issues with being asset rich and cash poor and all their assets being caught up in a farm, and for that farm to be viable, you really can't break it up too much. It's very different for a small business owner. But the same factor applies that a small business owner and their personal life, their business is very much caught up. So the small business and their personal estate planning really needs to be looked at the same time. So some of the factors that comes in with a small business. A small business owner, sometimes they go into business for themselves just to have a job for life. A job that they're in control of and that they enjoy, which is good and well. Other small business owners are trying to build an asset with their business. So they want their business to be something that will get some money for them. So potentially they've been putting a lot of time and effort into their business as part of their superannuation plan, so to speak. So they want to be able to retire off that business and be able to live comfortably. Unfortunately, a lot of small businesses can't do that, and so potentially they end up still owning the business when they get unwell or they pass away. So the trick for a small business owner is to try and start your estate planning fairly early, because realistically you need to be looking at maximising the value of your business and how you're going to get out of the business. So I didn't want to go too deep into that stuff though. What I want to talk about are some of the reasons why estate planning is really important for a small business owner. Now, the first reason powers of attorney are really important for a small business owner, because most small businesses will stop operating if something happens to the business owner, and that's not what we want. That means the whole value of the business goes down the drain. So you need to have someone as a power of attorney. If you have an accident and you're out of the business for a couple of months, you're in rehab or whatever's happened, you're ill, you're dealing with treatment or something else, you need someone in that business that can run it. They need to be able to run it under a power of attorney, so they're not running down to you every day to sign checks or to sign off on things or whatever needs to happen. So having someone appointed as a power of attorney who knows how to run your business is really important. Now that can be tricky, even in my situation, for example, because my husband wouldn't know how to run my firm. So I've had to think about, well, who can come in as power of attorney with him to be able to help run the business side of things while he has some oversight, but he doesn't have to be pulling his hair out while I'm unwell, because he's also dealing with that. Okay, so some of these things we need to think about. I've just written some notes. So tradies also are quite different, because often tradies, all they have really are their equipment, right? And so a lot of them will think, well, look, I'm not expecting to sell my business. I'm expecting that all the value of my business is the equipment, and yeah, great, while I'm well, it's giving me an income, but there's not going to be any lump sum at the end of it. So there's some realities there for some businesses. But at the same time, if a tradie is unwell for a certain period of time, who is going to keep some of those clients happy so that the clients don't just disappear and you have to start from scratch? So powers of attorney, very important. The other thing is insurance. So for a small business owner, if you've got debt in your business, yes, it's really important to make sure that you've got some kind of life insurance or total and permanent disability insurance that will pay out the debt on the business if you can no longer work in it, right? If you're not working in your business, it's likely that revenue will drop at least a little bit because the business won't still be the same. So to be able to be servicing debt and then for someone else to be trying to sell the business for you is going to be tricky. So nice if a big lump sum of cash can come into that business, pay off the debt, so at least it relieves some pressure. So yes, think about insurances. Now, around small businesses, there's often some other kind of structures which need to be considered in estate planning. And whilst powers of attorney give some power to someone else to run things if someone's unwell, the ongoing structure itself might be something that you're looking at passing on, right? So you're looking a little bit more at business succession planning in this aspect. So for example, if your business is running through a family trust and one child in particular is in the business, then perhaps you need to think about adding that child into a control aspect in the trust. And that child might end up with the business and get less out of other assets. So structuring is very important to have a look at. With some businesses, they run in a company, so you need to think about, well, who's going to get the shares in the company to be able to then be a director and run the company. So small business owners have that added level of complexity that just needs to be considered, basically. And then when you come down to actually doing a will, the role of executor is just as important as thinking about the role of power of attorney. Because again, if you just appoint your spouse, for example, they might not know how to run your business. So you might need to think about having another person in there as an executor to help your spouse to run that business and potentially to sell it and maximize that sale. Because with a business, you don't want the value collapsing out the bottom if something happens to you. We want to maximize your life's work and not have the business shut down just because you're not there anymore. The other thing to deal with in wills are the other structures that you might have around your business. So if you haven't already built in a succession plan into the structures, in the will we can build in powers that pass under the will. So they don't have to pass while you're alive. The rest of the family can wait until you pass away if that's what you want. Or for example, if you're doing this sort of estate planning and succession planning in your mid to late 40s, it's obviously not going to be for another 10 to 15 years that you're thinking of maybe removing yourself a little bit from the business. So realistically, you're thinking more of an emergency situation than long-term planning. So there you go, a little piece on estate planning for small businesses. Again, so many unique factors about all these different sets or groups of people. The blended families, like I say, and sometimes you might have a blended family that's running a small business, so that just adds another level of complexity. But it's not like it can't be worked out, it's just that it needs a little bit of attention. And you might be familiar now with our process. It takes 2 appointments to have it all sorted out, and that generally happens over 2 weeks. So it can be done quite quickly. You just need to turn your attention to it and let us help. So I'm going to tune out again for another Monday and hope you all have a great week. Again, I'll be back here next Monday with another short section on some legal advice for you. These videos, while they're live, they do get posted permanently to the page, so you can go back and scroll back through our videos and tag anyone's name in it that you think this might be relevant for. So thank you very much. If you want to get in contact with us, direct message through the Facebook page or on our website,